Hello and welcome to the Moonshine Jesus Show. We're certainly glad that you have taken your time today to tune in and talk a little bit with us about the Umbrella Academy. I am, of course, joined by my good buddy, Caleb. Caleb, how you feeling today? Things going well?
I'm feeling great, Mark. I can't wait to
Excellent.
talk about the Umbrella Academy.
Most excellent. Me too. But before we get things started, let's remind everyone that we are supported by progressivechristianity.org. It's a great place for all your progressive needs and resources. We very much encourage you to check them out there. Check us out on Facebook, Moonshine Jesus on Facebook, as well as everywhere you get your podcast. You can find the Moonshine Jesus Show. We're in all those places. And as always, a very important reminder, this is not a spoiler-free zone.
No, it's not.
Never
it's full
has
of them.
been. It's full of. It's what we do. We spoil things. We are the bearers of spoilage
for everybody.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, before we spoil too much, how about we pour our drinks and hopefully keep those on the good end of things?
Yes.
So, what are you having as your drink for this show and the Umbrella Academy?
Okay, so here's the thing about the Umbrella Academy, Mark. It's a dark show, but it's also a ton of fun. And so I was thinking about my drink, and I thought, I need something that's dark, but is also a lot of fun. And so
I like that.
This week, I've got the Umbrella Academy Kahlua and Cream Milkshake. And I thought this is also good for like a hot summer day. And so I've got 2 ounces of Kahlua, 2 ounces of vanilla vodka, ice cream, vanilla ice cream, whipped cream, and sprinkles. And of course, an umbrella.
An umbrella, of course.
Right?
I think that you absolutely knocked that one out of the park. I went a little safe on this one.
Yes.
The whole show has a kind of an old school 40s, 50s. And then number 5 even has that kind of attitude about him. So I just wanted to go with a kind of a traditional old school drink, but a little, not your completely ones that people are all like very familiar with, but it's called a Martini Rosso. It is basically vodka, sweet vermouth, and some orange bitters. But like you, since it's the Umbrella Academy, I am incorrectly decorating a martini glass with an umbrella.
I have never seen that, and I love it. It's perfect for this.
Why not? For this show, it seems appropriate. So cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Yeah, those are good. Not bad at all. And look, hey, while we're drinking, let's remind people that in just a couple of weeks, we're going to be at the Wild Goose Festival. And we're going to be handing drinks out.
Yes, we are.
The first 20 folks that show up, we're going to be talking about the new Thor movie, and we will have a themed drink to share with the first 20 people who show up, and they will receive it in this Moonshine Jesus Show jug.
No way. That's amazing. I want one of those.
Well, I'll see. I know a guy who knows a guy who might be able to get a hold of one for you.
I hear that everything tastes better in a moonshine jug. Is that right?
It always has. Oh, it's everyone knows
it always has. It always will. You're gonna want.
We got all kinds of other giveaways, huggies that we're going to be doing, stickers. We also now have our Shine Jesus Shine T-shirts are now in stock. We've got a handful of those we'll be throwing out to people who participate with us there. So I'm excited about it. We're there on July 16th. And the show will be at 4:15 on the Goosecast stage. So I hope you'll all come by and hang with us a bit. It'll be fun. Live music, too. We've got a local blues player who'll be playing the Moonshine Jesus song. So should be good, Caleb.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see people there. I can't wait to taste something out of that moonshine jug. I'm ready for it.
It's the best. It's the best. I may have tried mine out. I don't know. Maybe a little bit.
Of course you did.
Let's hear some tunes, and we'll come back and talk a little bit about this show.
Moonshine Jesus, nobody in the sky. Moonshine Jesus, baby, alright. Moonshine Jesus, a surprise and delight. Moonshine Jesus, won't you shine a light?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Moonshine Jesus Show, where today Mark and I are talking about the Umbrella Academy. Netflix Umbrella Academy follows a dysfunctional family of wayward would-be superheroes who occasionally find a way to combine their talents to do extraordinary things. But often they fall victim to their own egos and insecurities, which pushes the world even closer to the brink of apocalypse. High stakes show. So
every year something's going to blow. The Earth's going to blow. That's
right. That's why I want to ask you about, Mark. Right. So
really?
Season one.
Right.
Season one, we kind of get to know the characters as they try to save the world from an apocalypse. In season two, they travel back to the 1960s to prevent an apocalypse. And in season three, they're back in present time in an alternate future after altering the events of the past as they try to prevent an apocalypse. And so here's my question. Again, this is not a spoiler-free zone, so I'm about to give a major spoiler for season three if you haven't seen it. At the end of season three, Mark, they lose their powers. Here's my question. How do you think they're going to prevent the inevitable coming apocalypse without their superpowers?
Wow, you really jumped right into this, didn't you?
I know.
I thought I had in the back of my head this idea that maybe we would get to this thought, but hey, we're going
right to the end of the season. This is what I want to talk about. It's my segment, Mark. This is what I want to talk about.
So it was complicated. It's fair, man. It's your segment. Listen, it was Reginald. Okay, wow, there's so much to unpack here. It depends. Like Reginald had figured out how to use this kind of machine in this alternate universe that was sort of a metaphysical fail-safe that they called the Oblivion, and it's actually hidden by the Obsidian Hotel, and the Oblivion is inside and behind it, and he has this machine he's figured out how to use, and he's got to get 7 of the Academy members to stand on certain spots. And so here's where I am with it. I think he knew that they were going to end up back with no powers. But I'm trying to decide if that's because he knew the reset would prevent something that he did that ultimately made his all of their mothers pregnant, because there were 43 women across the world that got pregnant all at the same time without being in a relationship with anybody. And I've always felt like that Reginald had something to do with that. And so maybe he knew that on a reset, he wouldn't have done the thing that made him powerful, or that was some high-tech space stuff that he was interacting with. There's a part of me that also wonders, I wonder if he programmed it to not have them not have their powers, and if maybe he thought that was like giving them their lives back. Like maybe there was this soft spot in this alien robot, whatever he is.
Right.
Because we have seen throughout the seasons that he does have this a soft spot. Whatever alien thing he is, he does every once in a while get really like almost emotional about the kids. So maybe he had this little and I'm going to give you this last gift that you don't have to worry about your powers anymore. You don't have to ever save the world again, because you can't. You can just have your normal life. I don't know. I was in one of those schools, and I couldn't figure out what I really thought was going on.
Well, that's interesting, because I think you're right that none of these powers have been great gifts for them. They've all had pretty terrible lives, and I mean partly because of Reginald's own doing. I mean, he was a bad dad, and he didn't give them like a supportive environment to grow up in, and yet they also like we're struggling with these gifts and how to make use of them. And so maybe it is actually a gift to get rid of them. And and I mean, some of the characters even seem to go away ready to live their lives without those gifts. And so maybe it would. But is it going to be interesting to watch? Do you think?
I think it's going to be brilliantly interesting.
Okay,
to watch.
Good. Yes.
I should throw in right now. I just saw a user comment online, probably a first-time listener. We promise you, we are going to spoil this for you. So save this for later after you've seen the show. This is not a spoiler-free show. We will.
No,
be
we said
spoiling
we're spoilers. We are going to spoil this for you.
Right,
I'm going to jump right to the very last episode, and that's what we're going to talk about. The big giveaway.
I do think, though, that it sets up. By the way, the 4th season isn't guaranteed yet. Netflix is in talks with them, but hasn't okayed it yet. Which made me it made me a little anxious because this one, the 3rd season, felt like it got tied up slightly neater than any of the first 2 seasons, who ended on these crazy cliffhangers. I was a little concerned about that, but I think there's a lot of potential in year 4. You've got Luther, who's not part of the family right now because he's out searching for his wife. You've got the rest of them who are probably in contact, and then, of course, the apocalypse is going to start to happen, and they're going to go, oh, well, if we had our powers, we could do something. So we get episode after episode of them trying to figure out why did we lose the powers? How do we get back to the powers? Which could be a lot of fun, and watching them kind of interact. And we have all that opportunity for some who don't really think they want their power back, and others who can't wait to have their powers back. So I don't know. I kind of think it could make for a kind of a fun beginning with a more serious ending next season. I don't know. Does that seem reasonable? Do you think that could happen?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think they've got to renew it. I want to see it wrap up a little bit nicer than that. Maybe it's wrapped up nicer than other seasons, but it needs a proper close. So I hope they bring it back. So I want to pivot a little bit, Mark, and I want to ask you this question because I'm dying to know this. I was wondering the whole time I've been watching Umbrella Academy about this.
Yeah,
I want to know who your favorite character is, who your favorite family member is in the show.
My drink is a giveaway. It's number 5. I absolutely love number 5. I love his kind of like rough guy, old guy attitude and this young body. He travels, he knows all these things, and he's a little bit like he'll make weird little jokes and pick on people, and they don't even see that his joke, what he's doing to them. And I just think that he's kind of the guy that pulls them together frequently, where they're all going crazy, and he's like, okay, look a minute here, we all got to get real serious here. We got to figure this out. I kind of like that about his character. So I'm a fan of Luther too, but number 5 is definitely my favorite. How about you?
Yeah. So I like Victor. I think Victor's a very interesting character to see develop over the course of things.
Incredible.
And so I'm sure we'll talk more about that in the next segment as we talk about the theopolitical stuff. And I think Klaus is the comedic person that we need to make the show work. I think he is the relief, that release valve that we've got to have during all these serious kind of things. And he does a brilliant job with the character for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It makes
you completely buy him as that person. Like, you don't think of him as an actor playing the character. It almost feels like they typecast him, although they definitely didn't. But it almost feels like they just found this guy that's like this and said, let's get you in the show.
Very zany. Yeah. You know what? We've got a great show for you. We need a zany character, and you're just him. Yeah. He does embody him. So I think amazing. I think Rosalind Sue Edrozo makes an important comment about one of your favorite characters, Mark, that with number 5, you got to miss the shorts. He found a tailor in this season and got like a full suit, and he's out of those, the Umbrella Academy shorts. And
I'm really in agreement with that. That was sort of one of the beautiful things about that character, was that he was this grumpy old man wearing schoolboy shorts. It's just, there was just something right about it. It was just perfectly offsetting. But I do think they've done really interesting things with all the characters this season, and his was obviously one of my favorites as well. But I'm curious as to whether or not you think the Sparrows survived. Most of them got sucked into the Kugelblitz. Most of them got sucked into it. Yeah. Do you think that they survived? Are we going outside of I think there were 2 that got thrown back into
That
the
came
other
with them.
reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the rest of them at some point got sucked into the Kugelblitz, which, by the way, is an actual theological physics thing that's actually been theorized. So similar to it anyway. But
Ooh,
intriguing. But
I
what do you think? Do you think they're still around?
I think they survived, but they're not going to remember. I don't think they're going
Okay.
to remember what happened. So, kind of similar to what happened in
So-
Spider-Man: No Way Home. You know that whenever the universe resets, they're the people
Right.
who are actively involved
So-
in so the folks who were
You're
there
assuming
and were
that
part of it.
yeah. So does that mean that you think that that's what we're calling the side universe or the slide universe, the sideways universe? They were calling where the Sparrows existed as the sideways universe.
Right.
So when everything reset, you think that that these parallel universes, or at least that one sideways universe, got smushed back in?
Got all meshed into one.
Or is it living outside of that one and they are now existing in that one reset? I don't know.
Well, see, I was thinking about the sideways universe as kind of just like a blip in the timeline. That's
Right.
an interesting thing. I think my argument is that that everyone who was actively involved in resetting the universe, so everyone who was in the oblivion whenever they reset the universe, I think they're all going to remember what happened. But anyone
Right.
who wasn't,
Nobody
so like
else.
the ones who had died ahead of time, I think they're going to go back. I have no
Yeah.
idea. Who knows?
Right.
What do you think,
I mean,
Mark?
it is one of the great things about this show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it comes down to timeline arguments and what the writers are going to do.
Yeah.
So is the sideways universe, is it a parallel universe, or is it, like you suggested, an offshoot where someone made a very large choice at some point on the original timeline, and there was this new timeline that broke off and started? If that's the case, then it all depends on what the restart sets them back to. Does it set them back before that piece broke off of the main timeline, or does it come after that? So if that's the case, I think it's all going to come down to where does a reset actually occur. And if it's actually just a parallel universe, then I think it got reset just like our universe where the Umbrella Academy is. And they're all there. And I think I'm kind of with you. I do believe that the folks that weren't in the oblivion when it all happened at the end, I think they probably wouldn't remember. They get reset and it's just what it is. I'm just going to be very curious to see when that is. Is it concurrent with the timeline we were on, or does it throw them back? Because they were kind of like, they kept them in this little grassy space with I don't know, was it a water fountain or whatever? There was something right there in the middle, and they were all just leaning on it. We don't know what time they're in. We don't know what the world looks like.
Well, that's true.
They kept it pretty. It was a tight frame that didn't really give away anything.
All we know is that Reginald still exists. That this was not the end of Reginald. That he is still around. So, hey, before we move to the next segment, one person that I do want to make sure we talk about is Allison, because she saw some interesting character development during this season as she came to terms with a lost love and through most of the season with her daughter not being in existence. And that caused her to make some really interesting ethical decisions and to really switch up a lot of the character development that she had in previous seasons. What do you think of Allison in this season? And do you think her actions ended up being justified in the end?
I think this is one of those kind of moral, ethical questions that there's not a right and wrong answer on. We all can, in a lot of ways, understand the emotional part behind the decision she ultimately makes throughout this. And in a lot of ways, I like the addition of her character and the way that she was both paralleled and a mirror to Reginald's character. They both had a person or persons that they had lost. They're both struggling with how far will I go? Some struggling with it more than others. Reginald didn't struggle a lot.
He didn't struggle a lot. Yeah.
But how far am I going to go in order to ensure that I have these people with me again? And what does it matter if it ruins a lot of other people's lives or kills them or prevents them from being with the people that they love. So I kind of liked that there was a balance in between them to some degree. I don't know that what I would call like hardcore morality. I think she made the wrong choice. At the same time, we're humans. We're emotional. We love what we love, and that can be I think it is the most powerful thing on the face of the planet is love, and so it can overrule a lot of things. So I wouldn't judge a person who ends up making a choice based on this deep love they have for people that they've committed to. But I think in a large moral sense, maybe it's the life of the many instead of the life of the few. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, if you're talking about the whole fate of the universe, then at least in and to quote Star Trek, right? The needs of the many outweigh the goods of the one or the few. But that's a lot easier to say than it is to practice whenever it's you personally.
Well,
and so I think you're right. I think her actions, Allison's actions in particular, were particularly understandable. But hey, I think, asking questions about morality and ethics, that must mean it's time for us to pivot and to talk about the theopolitical aspects of this show. So let's listen to the drop and come back.
Hello and welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. We're really glad to have you with us. We're in our Theopolitico segment. And Caleb, so I'm going to start off with just some, they are definitely theological questions, but they're sort of light ones. And I'm just curious to hear your take on these.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then we're going to get into maybe the more.
Then you're going to up the stakes. We're going to start out with softball.
I think we deserve to. Yes, I'll start out. I want you to feel good so that you feel confident.
Thank you. Okay,
talking about your take on Victor and what's going on there. All right. So the first question I have for you is, what do you think of the show's depiction of the afterlife?
Oh yeah, so that was interesting, especially in the last couple of episodes. I mean, it's something that I mean, Klaus is always dealing with, but given his powers, being able to see people after they're dead.
Well, and number 5 dealt with him for a little bit there. That's when he was dating the mannequin in the same area,
and then. Right, and then Luther gets to deal with
exactly
during this season, and so the last episode in particular, where Luther is in the afterlife with Klaus, they are going from different places, and at one point they go to a bouncy house, and Klaus says somebody's version of heaven is this bouncy house, as if heaven is whatever it is that makes you happiest or something. So I think that's a relatively common depiction of what we think, what people think the afterlife looks like. I'm not one who tends to think about that too much.
Right.
I think it's Marcus Borg who said that, is there an afterlife? And if so, what will it be like? I have no idea.
Right.
But the God who buoyed us in life will buoy us in death. And I like that because I don't think any of us really knows if there is an afterlife or what it would be like. And I don't spend too much time thinking about that. I know that it's comforting for some folks. And it can be particularly comforting if you've lost someone or if you're thinking about your future. But I think it deals with it kind of in a fairly traditional way, except for the fact that Klaus can come back from it. What did you think? What was your take?
I'm kind of with you. I get the kind of appeal of, for some people, it's obviously like whatever your happiest memory is or a happy place for you. Yeah. But it was interesting because Klaus, his memory is always this kind of barren area with, crappy chairs and a wall that's not really part of a house and a TV sitting there. And it makes me wonder, is that really his happy place, or is something more like, does he think this is what he deserves? I don't know exactly. What I do find interesting, though, is how much progressive Christianity itself struggles to define afterlife. And I think it's one of our shortfallings, frankly, because I've recently had conversations with several folks who have lost loved ones who feel like progressive Christianity has let them down on the front of how do I imagine my loved one? Where are they? What will I interface? Will there be energy shared? Will there be anything? And we really don't we do a really good job at understanding what hell really isn't in the Bible. And saying that construct, and Dante's construct, is just not something that has a lot of biblical support. We don't do a very good job at offering a counter view that could help a person at least have some rest, not necessarily full comfort, but to let go a little bit about their loved one. That I do think there's some value in this concept of an actual afterlife that has something that's positive, that reminds us of this. Not that I think that's what it is, but I can see the value in it. And I guess I'm pushing us as progressive Christians to do a better job defining what we think that next whatever is.
Although it's hard, right, Mark? Because one of the values of progressive Christianity is that we aren't going to guess and pretend like it's because I feel like that's what a lot of Christians do, is they kind of guess and then they present it as fact. And then they try to get people to buy into this guess as if it's fact. And so I think but maybe you're right. Maybe we should be talking about it more. Maybe we shouldn't just dismiss it or to explore different theories.
Even science right now is offering some interesting things about whatever not here might look like, and they're approaching it with real heart. It's not supposed to be in any way dismissive of traditional Christianity, but in real scientific ways, talking about alternate universes, parallel universes, different existences of energy that might be influencing us and that we are possibly interacting with that could be related to it. I think there's a lot there to explore, and it's, I think, a very necessary step for progressive Christianity over the next 5 to 10 years to deal with. So it'll be a fuller theology that can actually be even more impactful for people in difficult times. All right, we can go on about that. I am well of that. There's one other little line I want to ask you about before we move back into the bigger one that you pointed out in our last segment that we knew we would be going to be getting to. There was this line that Reginald said, and it's again involves a theology, just like afterlife is one that you and I don't necessarily buy into the way that that's like mainline Christianity might. This one buys into sort of a mainline understanding of creation and creationism and that kind of thing. But I thought it was this interesting quote, and I wanted to hear your modern application of whether or not that might be the case or not. When he's talking about the oblivion, this metaphysical failsafe that might be put in that would allow him to reboot, he says, "Whoever," this is Reginald, "whoever or whatever wove space and time, they left a way to put things back together if the universe faced annihilation." All right, not necessarily a literal annihilation, but do you think that the universe is woven together in a way that we can put things back together when they fall apart? I mean, right now it feels like a lot's falling apart. It's a big question.
Yeah, it is a big question, and it is a question that can send us into a bit of an existential crisis, especially as we're talking about things like climate change. And so I think the universe can maybe put itself back together. I think human beings, in a lot of ways, are a part of the problem. So I don't know that it's put back, it's put together in such a way that human beings can do anything to restart the universe in the way that Reginald does, or even to save the Earth. I think the Earth will survive humans. Whether human beings get to be a part of that next stage or not, I think is yet to be determined. And so I think that particularly if we're talking about the climate crisis, that this is one of the things that is, the saddest, is that we are seeing the results, the effects of climate crisis, and the results of of us taking years and years of inaction.
Yeah.
And it's really causing a lot of despair, especially among, for all of us, but especially among Gen Z folks who have to deal with the fact that the Earth might not be here in the same way for them that it has been for everyone else. So I think that the universe can save itself. I think the Earth can save itself, but whether or not human beings can be a part of that or not, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, what I think is I'm not going to answer that question because we're running out of time in this segment. We've got something very important that we need to be.
Oh, yes.
I will say I will tweak it the tiniest bit. I do think that the universe exists in such a way that when human relationships and human divisions, when relationships fall apart and divisions happen, that it is woven in such a way that we actually can be a part of preventing annihilation in that kind of division and falling apart. That if we are willing to actually put the work in, that the universe is knitted together a way where we can make those things better if we, put our energy, our efforts, and figure out how to love our neighbor. All right, but we're going to move on here.
You're an optimist. You're an optimist. I love it.
I think of myself as a pragmatist, but I'll take it.
Okay.
I'm a pragmatist who wants to be an optimist. How's that?
That's good.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about, so in between last season and this season, Elliot Page made the announcement that he was transitioning. This is who he had always been, and he finally arrived at a place in his life that he was able to recognize, express it, and do something about it. And I don't know about you, but I feel like the Umbrella Academy almost embraced this, right?
I felt like they absolutely did.
They absolutely did.
I think they not only embraced it, but I think they showed us a model of how family and friends can respond to that in a helpful way. Just like accept, it was almost like a non-issue for.
Yeah, I loved it. Okay. I loved it. Like you talk about the non-issue, like with Luther, he said, like Luther sees Victor for the first time with a haircut, and Luther's like, oh, like the haircut. 10 gauge, that's a good call. Like just made it all normal, just a normal, like you're still my buddy. You're still the person that I want to be close friends with, kind of stuff. I love this little bit, and I want to hear what your thoughts are. Victor is discussing his transition with Luther and Allison. And Allison starts blaming almost herself, saying, God, I should have realized this earlier. I really should have done this earlier. And Victor says, you couldn't have known, because I didn't fully. And he says that Sissy, one of the other siblings, opened something in me, showed me I'd never be free, hiding from who I really am. And after losing her, I realized I just can't live in that box anymore. I won't. I always hated mirrors. I thought everybody felt so strange in their skin. I guess that's not true. How powerful is that? And for a show, they had to go back and write this in, because the whole show was written before Elliot went public, and to see them do those write-ins, like a speech like that's just brilliant. And I can't imagine how many lives that alone touched deeply or even saved.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I think that made the season for me. So, so I was going through and binge watching Umbrella Academy for the first time. And I thought I love this show because of the superhero stuff and all that. But I thought this show is worthy of existence just for this scene alone. To empower, to see a trans person embracing their true selves, having that portrayed in this public way through Hollywood, I think was powerful. And then to see the family struggling not with their willingness to embrace it, but to try and struggle how to really appropriately support that person, I thought was incredibly wonderful. So I think Luther too, not only the thing about the hair, but he said, hey, should we throw him a party, or what? And Diego comes along and goes to Victor and said, hey, your brother wants to throw you a party. He wants you to know that we love you. do you know we love you? He's like, yeah, I know you love me. And he's like, okay, well, let's get back to trying to save the world, right? But it's just like, hey, we love you. That to me was a scene that said,
beautiful.
Hey, we love you unconditionally, no matter what. We accept you as you are.
Talking about the world being designed in a way or existing in a way that it can be knit back together, there is a beautiful example of folks knitting it back together when something changes, and rather than using it to tear them apart, they keep that universal pull that bonds us. They not only recognize it, but they amplify it in a case that could like make a person not feel accepted. I thought it was just beautiful. It was it was a great season, but that was definitely one of my favorite pieces of it. So listen,
okay, you give me hope again. Yes,
excellent, good. Hey, I'm gonna make you an optimist yet. All right, we're running a little longer. Let's take this segment and come back and see who can make who look stupid.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Moonshine Jesus Show, and thanks for staying with us to this last segment, the Make Me Look Stupid segment, where we both try to ask a question that will make the other look stupid. So here's the thing.
Why do we do this to ourselves? Like we actually like each other. Why?
Why? Because why not? You know,
right? Yes, that is completely.
That's the best. The best friendships are like that, Mark. You got to try and make each other look stupid every once in a while.
Exactly.
You know,
you're exactly right.
That's the way it is.
If the friendship if the friendship can't survive you picking on the other person, it wasn't really a friendship to start with.
That's right. It wasn't. Yeah, that's right. So here's the thing, Mark. Last week you were benevolent and you let me go first. And,
Damn it.
I'm going to extend the same courtesy to you. And this week, I'm going to let you go first.
Damn it!
I will be the benevolent co-host.
Oh, you're so wonderful. I really cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. All right. I do have a question. I do have a question for you.
Yeah,
and my question, depending on your answer, has a possible follow-up. All right?
A two-parter? Okay.
Possibly. Depends on your answer. So, number 5, at the end of this episode, of this season, he ends up trusting his, quote, enemy, Reginald, over his own future self. His own future self has been telling him, don't start the machine. Don't reset it. Don't do it. And he gets down. He's the last person to step on the space that's going to make this happen. And you see him think about it for this flash.
Right.
And then he uses his powers, boom, boom, and he's standing on it. So he trusts his, quote, enemy more than he trusts his own future self. And it sort of works out. So are there any lessons that are packed away in that as part of the story, or is it just sort of a ridiculous piece of the story?
Well, you know, it's the writers leaving the possibility for another season, right? What happens?
So you're saying the only lesson here is that writers write some stupid crap if it'll get them to the next season.
So you don't think got to do something.
So you don't think there's any moral anything we can pull out of that? I'm not saying there is. I want to hear your answer.
Sometimes, okay. Let me try to moralize this a bit. Let's see. I think that sometimes we may think we know best, even in retrospect. You know, we may think, oh, if I had done such and such, things would be different. And we don't always know best. And that's an important lesson for me to learn.
I mean, I think throughout the show, I don't know what. I think throughout the show, listening to you, it's clear that we don't all always know best. So, yeah. I'm sorry. That was a little low. I apologize.
Wait, I thought you were going to say that Caleb, you always know best. I'm learning that. No, that's not what you were saying. That sometimes
I could have said that, and I should have said that, but I did not say that.
But you did not, because you're honest. You're an honest person, Mark. So okay, so maybe there's something to be said about listening to other people, even if we're not sure that we can trust them, to be willing to have faith in humanity, be willing to have faith in goodness, even if they're like an alien robot kind of person. But I think at the end of but we'll see. Maybe there's a reason that like, was the universe going to end if you didn't listen to Reginald? I don't know. Was it going to reset? I bet we'll find. I think we're going to find out in season 4, one way or another.
You're probably right. I think we'll find out. All right. So, but here's the thing. So now I'm going to get you to change your answer.
Okay.
because
we'll see about that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
maybe I'll stick to my guns. I don't know.
I hope not. Here's the thing, though.
Okay.
Did it actually work out? They end up back with no powers, nothing to do. They're unconnected to everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe listening to his enemy was the wrong choice. Like, maybe it really screwed them up. Right? I mean, because where they are right now, there's so much up in the air. They don't have the powers. Someone comes after them. There's another apocalypse, which we know it's Umbrella Academy, so there's going to be another apocalypse. It didn't work out, so maybe to thine own self be true. Maybe we should pay attention to that more. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to see, right? We'll have to see if it works out or not. Because it's going to depend on if the writers are if they're able to negotiate with Netflix to get there. That's what we're going to have to see. Are they really going to be able to come back? I think.
I'm going to say you kind of sidestepped that last question. That what if the outcome is actually horrible, then maybe to thine own self be true really is the way we should approach things. Trust your gut.
Or you know what? Maybe it is. You do whatever you do, and you deal with the consequences, no matter what it is. And so,
that's a very wise answer right there.
I think we often what if ourselves to death. What if I had done this, or what if I had done that? And at the end of the day, it is whatever decision we make in the moment is the decision we make, and we face the consequences, right, wrong, or indifferent. It is what it is. So
right.
So I'm comfortable in my sidestep, Mark.
Okay,
I'm comfortable leaving it there. Okay, so I've got a question for you.
All right, I'm worried.
So
I'm rocking. I'm so worried. I'm finding myself actually
rocking.
With an anxious anticipation. Oh gosh.
This is my like hyper energy. I can't sit still for 45 minutes. Okay, I'm ready, Mark.
I buy that. I completely buy that. That's gonna be weird.
You know me well enough.
It's gonna be weird, like trying to do a live version of the Moonshine Jesus show and see.
That's right. I'm gonna be up with the microphone,
you can stay in your
walking
seat.
all around. Hey, everybody! Okay.
Audience engagement. I'll take the mic. No, I'll take the mic.
Yeah, let me run around. Okay. So throughout this season, Grace, the robot mom, thinks that this ball of energy is God that is down in their like laundry room basement area, right? She thinks that it's God, and she's actively worshiping it. So one, I want to know, is God really a ball of energy somewhere? And two, are there things that we are worshiping like a God that are not, that are going to cause our annihilation instead? So I'm going to ask you a two-part question too, but I'm going to ask you. I'm going to throw them both out there. I'm just going to
at the same time. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is God a ball of energy? Yes. Is God a newly blooming dandelion? Yes. Is God the ocean rolling into the sea onto the shore and lightly crash with a gentle breeze? Yes. Is God the sinew tissue that connects us all together, that makes who I am and who you are inextricably wound together over time, no matter what? Yeah, God is all of that. And if you try to define God as one specific thing, we end up with idolatry. When you end up trying to say God is that ball of energy in my basement, you end up with idolatry. If you try to end up with the most important thing in my life is this money, then you've created a God out of your money, and you've connected it to the one thing, rather than recognizing this massive connectiveness of the universe and this larger energy, this larger emotion, this larger peace that wants best for everything. you end up missing all of the largeness of that and the connectedness of it when we focus on one little thing and try to make it incredibly important. I've heard people do that with a book sometimes as well.
I've heard that too. I've got to say, Mark, what, the Bible? What is that? that is the most beautiful definition of God I've ever heard. I concede this round. Like, that is like where did that come from, Mark? You just like
this is how I think about God, man. It's literally how I think about God. So,
that is beautiful. I love that.
But I also, Caleb, but I also know that is in large part how you conceptualize God as well. This is not a unique Mark Sandlin kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of us who that is what we really deeply understand God to be, right? Or am I don't want to misspeak for you.
No, I think you're right. And I think it's important to say, because a lot of times whenever we define God as something other than an old guy in the sky, people think that you're like making this up, or like you're a minority opinion. And the truth is that I think probably the vast majority of us, especially in Christianity, but I think if we really got down to it, that the vast majority of us really recognize that God is beyond understanding and comprehension. And Absolutely. If we were really willing to like speak about it more and be a little more public about it, that it's not a minority opinion, and I think it's an authentic read of the Bible, and I think it's an authentic read of how the universe really works. So with that, let's say goodbye to Umbrella Academy. Wait for season 4. I hope it gets renewed, and let's talk about what we're going to be talking about on the show next week. So
this is going to be a promise. It's going to be a promise fulfilled, right?
That's right. It is. Yeah. Do you want to tell them? You ready?
Yeah. We're going to do this together.
Oh, we're going to do it together. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know how we're going to make this happen.
Let's try it.
On three.
1, 2, 3.
Stranger
Things. Volume.
All right.
Season 4, Volume 2. That's what I was trying to say all at the same time.
We did not do that well. All right, we're gonna stop. We're gonna count down again, and we're just gonna say Stranger Things, okay?
Okay,
and
ready?
Then I can edit it for the actual podcast, so it doesn't.
No. This is okay. You count. You count.
All right, I'm gonna count down. 3, 2. Stranger Things.
Oh,
that did not work. All right, we'll just give up.
It's the internet lag. It's the internet.
So listen,
lag.
when we watched it the last time together, and did a show on it, we knew that there was still like a couple big episodes to go, and we were like, we recognize some of the things we're saying. We probably need to come back once the new one drops. So we're ready to do that. You've got about 4 hours worth of video to watch to keep up with us. 2 episodes, but they're basically feature length films in their own right.
Yeah, they are. And so I've watched it. Mark hasn't. And I'm not going to say anything else about the show, Mark. I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything. All I'm going to say is you've got an I Told You So coming up.
So, excellent. Nice. I'm glad to hear this. Well, and
you're going to want to tune back in. Yeah.
Let's also remind, how often does he get to say, I told you so? No,
I never.
Of course not. But we also need to say, please do remember to go watch Thor so that you can participate if you're coming to the Wild Goose in our podcast there. We're going to try to make it more interactive, so there'll be opportunities for those in the audience to interact with us, and we will be giving handouts of those wonderful Shine Jesus Shine t-shirts when we do so.
All right. Well, thanks, friends, for tuning in today on the 4th of July. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on the Moonshine Jesus Show.